Is this our first climbing episode ever? Dropping up.
So here we are, standing on a switchback turn, as if we're about to climb it.
Is this our first climbing episode ever?
I think it might be one of our first. Sorry about that, everyone. We do like to climb. This is actually one of my favorite little hacks for getting through a switchback turn, and it's super, super simple. And I was reminded of this just a couple days ago because I was teaching an advanced cornering class, and one of the students in class asked, hey, at the end of class, can we actually do some climbing up switchbacks? She said, I always feel like I'm falling into what I call the black hole. And so I like that. Kind of there's this sense when we're trying to come through a 180-degree turn where you're putting down power, you're driving forward, trying to get through the turn, and there's this kind of like you're trying to track, but the front end's so light because you're climbing that you feel like you're going to kind of just tip over.
Right.
And I like that what the way she put it, like the black hole that's on the inside. So the way we're going to address this is we're going to take a 180-degree turn and we're going to simplify it by making two 90-degree turns. Okay, so we're going to come in, we're going to make a 90-degree turn, and then we're going to drive straight at the bank at the end of the switchback and let our front tire just kind of like roll around that bank. So let the bank help us finish the turn. We're going to ride straight past the black hole instead of turning past the black hole.
Oh, interesting.
Okay, so we'll make a 90, we'll accelerate straight up into the bank and make another 90 and come out. And this, what I found for like cross-country racers and people who are like really into their climbing is that this takes out some of the psychological kind of angst of, am I going to make this climb? Like you're always thinking kind of one switchback ahead, like here comes another tough one. In addition to my two 90-degree turns instead of my 180-degree turn, any ideas given your experience with working on switchbacks together, what another tool we might use is?
Definitely a pre-turn.
Yeah, we can use a little pre-turn.
I use that a lot when I'm climbing.
Yeah, so the pre-turn is going to help us. Like if the switchback's really tight and just a double 90 isn't going to be enough, one thing we can do is we can pre-turn in to tighten up the beginning of the turn, right? So that first 90-degree turn can be even tighter.
Okay.
And then also, we might be in a situation maybe where there's a root or something that blocks us out from taking the widest path through. So that switchback or that little pre-turn into the switchback might really help us exit the turn without having to go all the way to the outside of the trail.
Okay. Cool.
While these aren't too precise 90s, we're more or less making two 90s. So I'm coming into the turn, making a 90-degree turn, and then just going right at the bank and letting that bank help finish my turn.
Nice.
It's like cheating.
I'm really curious what's going to happen when we go to the tighter switchbacks. Like, do you have time to straighten out before you turn again?
There's going to be very little time.
The look I'm getting says yes.
But the important thing there is when it gets really tight, when we get over to Cuss Hollow, A, is that you brought your quarters for the Cuss jar.
Okay.
But B, the important thing is that we're actually letting the bank help us finish the turn.
Okay.
And so if we're so preoccupied with turning the whole time, we're not taking advantage of the support that's inherently there. Remember, switchback turns are cut into the hill, right? So we're pretty much always going to have like a crude berm. So we can kind of like get the front wheel to go up toward that, turn using that support, and that'll allow us just to keep the pressure of our pedal strokes going consistently, so we're not kind of losing our balance in those awkward technical moments.
Right. I don't know how I felt about it.
You don't know how you felt about it?
It worked.
It worked, but keep in mind this isn't really a true switchback, right?
Yeah.
This is a pretty wide turn where your wheels can actually track and follow one another. It's just a more open space to kind of describe the process, but we're about to get into a pretty confined space to experience the product here.
Okay.
Coming up. And hopefully what I said was going to hold true. We'll find out when we get there.
Wouldn't it be cool if we had an online school where people could learn even more than what they're seeing here?
Oh, that's right. We do.
Oh, we do have that. Okay, that's right. Go to fluidrideonline.com and check it out.
We'll see you there. All right, here we are, Cuss Hollow. As promised, we're gonna give this a try. I gotta be 100% honest and give full disclosure here. I've actually never tried to climb these because they're ridiculously steep. I mean, just standing a few feet in front of me, you're standing well above me. But we're gonna give it a try. As you can see here, like there's quite a bit of support at the exit of the turn there, right? And that's the kind of support that we can use when we're descending. And we kind of don't think about it when we're climbing, but we can use that as a target to get to. So we don't get kind of midway through the turn here and feel like, you know, it's hard to steer, hard to hand steer, hard to know how much power I can put down without feeling like I'm gonna tip into the turn. So when I get right to where I am, I can start like a pretty powerful foot surge. So I'm just gonna like pedal like crazy, like right up at this bank here, and then let the front wheel ping off the bank. And that front wheel is gonna take its own wider path. The back wheel will be able to stay here on the pavers a little bit to the inside of the front wheel. Since we have our area of support in a slightly different spot, we're not making two exact 90s. We're gonna come into here. We don't really need to pre-turn. We're just gonna pedal really hard right at that first area of support up here. Let the front wheel come off that, let the front wheel take a nice wide high line, and let the back wheel follow in on the pavers just to the inside of it. All right, let's do it.
Then up this thing, and turn, and power, and turn. Oh yeah, that actually really worked. Huh. Go figure. That felt nice. Dropping up.
When we first started this episode, I wasn't sure that you were buying into my theory of the 290s, but after watching you a bit, it looked like you were kind of like going, yeah, maybe this is okay.
I love it. I'm completely sold because I'm at this point really familiar with that feeling of falling to the inside of a turn. And in a race, it's really stressful because you don't want to fall on an uphill turn. At first, when we were talking about this might just be kind of like a mental trick to get yourself through the turn. But now I see it's actually a race strategy where you can pedal harder through the entire turn. And then the second half of this is you can access more of the turn. Because my initial thought was, if we're gonna straighten out in the middle of the turn, we can't turn as sharp. But we don't need to because we're using more of the trail now that we're using the berm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great technique for keeping stability because you're actively driving toward that area of support where the front tire can ping off that bank, right? Yeah. And then you're actively getting back into your pedaling up the next straightaway. Yeah. So it does take a little bit of like focus within the turn and kind of that like little bit of like powerful surge. So it's kind of maybe almost the opposite feeling that we get when we're trying to just complete that 180 where you're trying to kind of tiptoe through. Mm-hmm. Here you're really driving through deliberately with that goal of getting the front tire to that area of support and then creating that offset wheel path as you finish the turn.
Yeah, no, I'm completely sold because there have been so many times where I just feel my body start to fall into the turn. And when you know that you can hammer on the pedals in the middle of the turn, it keeps you centered.
Yeah. Well, cool.
I like it. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Until next week.
Learn something new.